walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain.
All right, good morning. Welcome to UCAN Studios. I am here on Spiritual Warfare Unit, the Warrior's Way, with Ron. Say good morning.
Good morning, Isaac.
All right, before we get to him, if this is your first time and you know someone who is struggling with drug addiction or mental health and needs some help, go to UCANMichigan.com. You can click on struggling right there, and there'll be help. You can call them within 24 hours. And if you know someone that's struggling in these days with everything being the way it is, $6 eggs and $4 milk, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com and you can click on struggling, and on there we have 17 different community partners that give out food and clothes and baby formula and parenting classes and all kinds of stuff. spiritualwarfareunit.com. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to the show. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
All right, so Ron Smith is from the Lapeer American Legion Post 61, and you are
Post 16.
What'd I say?
16. You said 61.
Oh,
16.
16.
Like
American Legion 16 in Lapeer. And you're the vice, give me that title again.
Vice Director of the Writers Group.
Vice Director of the Writers Group. All right.
So within the post, you have Veterans Group, which is the post members. You have auxiliary, which is mostly the women, and then you have the SALs, which is the Sons of the American Legion, which are one of their relatives, if are also past military members.
Yeah.
And then we have the Legion Riders Group, which is a motorcycle group that we ride around in.
All right. And you guys do a number of like nonprofit stuff and helping people.
Yes.
Real quick. Just give people an example of like kind of things you do in the community.
Well, mostly the whole post together, we raise money for kids and family who, like we have a Christmas program where we adopt 5 or 6 families and make sure they have a really good Christmas. We have our Writers Group just did a Legion Writers scholarship ride that we raised $35,000.
Wow.
For post 9/11 families and children for an education.
Okay.
And then, monthly, the Writers Group, I can speak specifically for, we go to all these events and raise money for whatever the Riley Ride, these kids with problems that everybody comes together and we take off and raise $5,000-$10,000 on a ride.
All right, and that's why I had here, and that's American Legion Post 16, and the website is American Legion Post 16 Lapeer.com.
Yes, sir.
Whoo, that's $10 handle. All right, so the reason why I had you on is because you did 41 years in the military. 41. Okay. 41. So you went in at what age?
I signed up in my junior year of high school at age 17, had to have my folks sign the okay, and then I was delayed entry for 9 months.
Okay.
So I turned 18 in my senior year, and that summer, August of the summer, I graduated high school and left for boot camp.
All right, so you left, and you're from Flint.
Flint, yes.
Okay, so you leave and you go into which branch?
Navy.
All right, and what's your MOS?
I ended up picking, well, I wanted to be a gunner's mate when I got there because I was into guns and hunting, and I thought, what used to go to all the gun shops and have our guns tuned up and fixed.
Yeah.
And Dad says, no, son, I think you need to find a job that you can have a education, make money on when you get out of,
I mean, that's
being a gunsmith. You're not going to make a living being a gunsmith getting out of the service.
Yeah.
So I chose aviation electronics, but I took the ASVAB test and I was just 2 points over the threshold. And at 18 years old, you don't know a lot about electronics. I said, I'll go down to the electrician. So the high level is nuclear power.
Yeah.
Then you go down to advanced electronics. There's radars, radios.
Yeah.
And then you go down to electrician, which is everything else on an airplane that has a wire on it.
Wow.
Which is...
All right, so you did that, and you did 20?
21 years.
21 years, okay.
21
years.
So,
where'd you go first?
Well, you go after boot camp.
Yeah. I know you go to boot camp, then A training, but where'd you go?
A training was in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Was there.
Your electronic aviation class?
Basic electricity and electronics.
Yeah.
And then aviation,
but then where'd you go?
Fundamentals. And then my first posting was San Diego, North Island, San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So,
out by Ventura and all that stuff.
No, Ventura, I'm not sure where that's at.
It's a little island right off San Diego. The only reason I know is because we were posted similar to you from the Seabees, the San Diego base, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you did that. You're 18, and like any kind of story. Sometimes in A training, there's a retooling time between people and learning each other.
Basically, yeah, because now you have all these walks of life coming together,
right?
And you're in basically college dorm life. We had instead of pop machine, well, we had pop machines downstairs. We also had beer machines too.
You had beer machines?
We had beer machines.
Okay, what beer companies made beer machines for the military? Was it like Coors?
Well, there were pop machines that we converted into.
Oh, you converted. Oh, got it.
Yeah, so you just put.
So it really wasn't Coke and Diet.
No, it wasn't like.
He says no.
No, but the Pizza Hut down the street, you could get Schlitz Dark. Is how I started drinking dark beer.
Really?
Schlitz Dark is like the dark amber beers, and it was like Michelob Amber is now, or Michelob Dark, or whatever it is. So
yeah. Well, how long were you there?
I was there for 4 months.
4 months, and then where'd you ship off to?
Then went off to North Island, San Diego. Okay, after San Diego, I was there 3 years.
Okay.
And then did a Westpac tour on the USS Kitty Hawk.
How was that?
Intense.
Yeah.
That was very intense. Went through a hurricane. We were there.
Wait a minute. You just can't blow over going through a hurricane. Like what was the experience? Okay. Other than hold on to your lug nuts, right?
And some people didn't do that. So
no kidding.
We had waves crash, and so the flight deck is 75 feet above the water.
Yeah.
Water breaking over.
Over 75 feet.
Oh yeah. The swells. So you're up and down in these swells. And
must have been cleaning up vomit for a week.
Yes. But they were bringing airplanes down, and they actually so down on the hangar deck, which is 45 feet, something like that. So a wave come through there and washed a airplane. So you have a guy riding the brakes in the airplane, a tow truck with a guy in it. So we lost an airplane, 2 crew members, and a tow truck washed right over the side.
Took all of it?
Took all
the
of
truck, the plane, the people, and everything?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Because hangars 3s and 4s are across from each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we.
Well, listen, we gotta go to our first break already.
Okay.
Holy smokes! So we gotta end on a hurricane story. We'll finish that up when you sit tight. Please go to UCANMichigan.com, like, share, and subscribe. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is Ron Smith, and he's from the American Legion, post number 16 on Lapeer. And you were just telling us, at 19, you went through a hurricane, experienced loss, took a plane, a truck, and 2 people. A wave did.
Yes.
All right, so you're 19. So that had to be the most memorable experience.
Oh, yeah, there was several on this trip. So on the USS Kitty Hawk, and, well... There was so that's memorable.
Yeah.
Tragic. There was another tragic incident where a plane was landing, and I knew the guy. So the plane was waved off. It didn't wave off. Landed. So an F-14 and a A-7 collided.
Yeah. Wow.
On top of each other, threw shrapnel everywhere. So this aviation electrician supervisor was up working there. I was a night shift.
Yeah.
So I was just coming on, so I didn't know what was going on. But this plane crashed on the deck, shrapnel everywhere.
You still 19 at that time?
I'm 19, yeah, and killed this guy.
All right, so you're mentally getting prepared for the military. You're experiencing this stuff. You go through 10 months. You're now into it. You've experienced some negatives. There are some positives. Where'd you go after that?
I went back to North Island, San Diego.
Did you have to re-enlist then?
No, I'd finished off my 4-year tour. So this is at the 3-year mark.
Okay.
I finished up on the Kitty Hawk and all the fun things there. And then after I'd spent another year and then got out of active duty and transferred up here to Selfridge Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
The thing about Selfridge is they are one of 2 bases that have all services, all communities on them. So on the west side of the base is the Navy, Marines, Seabees, Customs, and whatever, and the Air Force, and some are all on the other side. So I joined up as a reservist because now I was married. At that when I came back off the ship, I got married for a year, and she was out there with me for a year. She didn't like the life, so we.
A lot of people don't, man.
No, it's a tough life, especially on family.
All right, so what happens then? Selfridge, you upped for another 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And stayed there for 17 years. Actually.
Stayed at Selfridge for 17 years? That's a beautiful area.
It's very nice. Back in the day, past the mall, past Lakeside was all cornfields.
Right.
And the reason for that was because Selfridge was a SAC base.
Yeah.
So they had missiles in the ground.
Yeah, and those jets are loud.
Rockets.
Loud.
Yeah, well, the reason there was no development there because that's the first stage fallout for the first stage rockets. So they could never develop that land because until they not decommissioned Selfridge, but they lowered its alert level and satellites and faster airplanes and everything else. And so,
all right, so you did 17 years there, and then you get done. You got 21 years.
Well, I was forced out at 21 years.
And what was the reason for your?
Well, in 2000, so that was end of 99, beginning of 2000, they were doing the military drawdown.
Yeah, so, and everything went from active to reserve and then inactive reserve and then...
Well, and we were 151% overmanned in the military.
Okay.
So the young men, couldn't get promoted or move up. So it was really top heavy because people had been there so long.
Yeah, but here's a question. Like I've been dying to ask you this since we got. So you finished at 21 years in the military.
Yes.
What possesses you to go, I think I'm going to join the Air Force?
Well, yeah. So then I walked across the street, joined the Air Force, Air National Guard.
Yeah, you say that like you had waffles. Now, let me explain. You're making a commitment after, so you get full retirement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you get full retirement at 21, and you're like, yeah, not yet. Now, how old are you when you did this?
Oh, well, I would have been 29 years old.
29?
29 years old.
At 21 years in?
Or 39.
39.
Maybe I would have been 39. Yeah, all right. So I would have already got.
All right, so you're 39 years old, and you're like, I still want to do stuff.
It's the camaraderie, the guys.
The brotherhood.
The brotherhood. It's working on equipment that, you just don't go out and work on F-14s and jet engines and jet airplanes and a lot of the travel. And so in the time I was in the reserve, the Naval Reserve, we're going to Japan, we're going to Italy, we're doing 4-week training periods every summer, what they call, minimum of 2 weeks training. Well, it's in the aviation community, it takes you longer to get there, get all your equipment there, and get back than the actual training. So generally, it's always more than 2 weeks.
All right, and so your son and I are friends, and he was telling me about this phone call. I want to ask you about this. He said he was in the middle of a phone call talking to you, and you were somewhere, and all of a sudden the screen just went out, and he could hear, like, I'm assuming it was mortar shots coming in. You're like, oh, don't worry, they can't hit us, and then all of a sudden the screen just went blank. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You got to tell me that story because I was like,
Well, this is in Afghanistan at this point. So I'd been in, now I'm 50 years old at this point. So this would have been in 2012, 2012, I went to Afghanistan.
All right.
And so I would have been, 50 years old.
Yeah, this is why the story is kind of interesting to me.
And so, we get RPGs every day. I was in Kandahar, which was one of the main jump-off hubs.
And you say that like you're having tea, too. Yeah, we're just being bombed every day. It's no big deal.
When you do it for so long, it becomes, it's
normal.
To the point that you almost, well, man, I've only been in bed for an hour. I'm not getting out of bed to go to the bomb shelter. I'm just going to stay in these containers. You have containers are 8 by 12.
So every day they're just shelling you.
Oh, yeah, every day. We had them skip off the top of our tents that, we're in. We had one skip off our tent, land in the field, because we were in the bottom of a valley. Kandahar's like in the desert of the valley. So they would set up RPGs up in the hills, telephone signal, whatever, to set them off. And
it bounced off your tent.
Yes.
Outstanding. I'm yelling because it's freaking me out a little bit. Okay.
It makes you pucker a little bit. No,
yeah.
That was one of the close
I bet
ones.
Smucker's was your favorite jelly.
Yes. And you're jumping out of your truck, you're driving around fixing airplanes or whatever, and the warning goes off, so you jump in whatever ditch or get the low spot.
And hope for the best.
Yeah, and that's...
All right, so you got, what was it, 3 minutes? How long did you get on the satellite phones when you're calling home?
Generally, you had up to 10 minutes.
Oh, up to 10?
Up to 10.
So in this particular call, you're talking to your son, and what happens?
The alarm went off, and they in the MWR buildings, welfare, morale, and recreation rooms.
Okay.
The alarm went off, and you clear out of there because it's a building in the middle of a kind of an open area. So
it's like the bullseye.
Get out of there. So you get out of there.
Okay.
Where we're lodging at, and our tents are hardened shelters. They have these big HESCOs, which I'm sure you are. Like these big, huge bags full of racks, and so they make a fortress wall around wherever you're sleeping.
Right.
And so it was safer there. And I was on the bottom floor of a 3-story stacked berthing area, and the HESCO's right outside my window, and I'm going I'm probably safer here than trying to run outside, go to the bomb shelter that's full of 30 or 40 other people, and if you're the late one getting there, you're by the front door.
Yeah.
And if it lands there, it's
so you're part of the shelter.
So you're part of the shelter. You're blocking all the other guys.
Right.
You're catching all the, So it's like, I've only been in bed an hour. I think I'm just going to stay in bed.
Right. I love the logic. So you're on the phone, it hits.
Yes.
And you're just like, well, okay.
Yeah, so you clear out everything. And
did you call back and be like, hey, it's good?
No, because my time was up. And then, trying to get communications back, because back even in 2011, 2012,
it was tough,
communications,
right?
like this is the one building you have communications in, and then you have to wait. You have to sign up, reserve a time. You have a stand in line with, 200 other people trying to get some time to call your family. And
well, Ron, we got to go to our next break.
Okay.
If you haven't yet, please go check out spiritualwarfareunit.com. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're out here at our 3rd annual golf outing here in the Genesee Valley Meadows. So, really good day. We have a great number of teams, great sponsorship, great people. Hoping for a great time. The weather's good. So, we appreciate all the support we get at all of our events. It helps us fight the fight that we fight. So, thank you all. Stay the course.
A lot of fun with a good cause. This is a very good cause, and I enjoy doing it. And my sons are with me today, and we're just going to have fun. We know we're not going to win, but we're going to have fun.
Oh, today is an awesome day today. This is our 4th or 5th one here, and can't thank UCAN enough for what they do, especially on this situation where they have this outing. Mark and Debbie and all of them. It's just an amazing outing, and I couldn't think of it brings back memories, but it's a wonderful thing, and we really appreciate it.
All right, welcome back to UCAN Studios. Our warrior of the week this week is Ron Smith from the Lapeer American Legion post number 16. And he was just telling a story that he'd had about I got his son's side of the story. I want to get his side of the story. So I want to skip back now. So after 21 years, you decided to go to the Air Force. Now, why the Air Force versus the other ones? Because you could do electronic avionics or what?
Yeah, it was an easier crossover for aviation. So, between the Navy aviation, Air Force has the most airplanes, then the Navy, then the Marines, and then Army has mostly just all helicopters. They don't have fixed-wing airplanes. So I was a fixed-wing electrician. And,
okay.
So that's why.
All right. So what was your, were you E5, E6 when you got out, E7?
I never made it to E7 ever in 41 years. I was in
Wow.
in the Navy after 21. I mean, I was up for E7 a dozen times, but because you're 151% over man, of course, they always pick the top 1% to get promoted.
Gotcha.
I'm not a 1%er.
You're not a 1%er? All right. So you go, so what did you start off with in the Air Force? What was?
Actually, I had to take a bus down to E5 again. I was in E5 probably in my career 3 or 4 times and up to E6 again 3 times.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so you can't just jump into a job that somebody else has been waiting 2 or 3 years to get.
Sure, absolutely.
So you got to bust down, do your time, 2 years, we'll make an E6. Well, actually, when I joined the Air Force, I wanted to be ground radar technician because now I had all this experience doing electronics. I'm going, this is easy peasy.
Right.
And it's a 12-month school in the Air Force, and nobody's can commit to that kind of time. And that was my fastest route to E7. And halfway through the training, they said, we're moving your unit to North Carolina, so you have, if you want the E7, you got to go to North Carolina or stay in Detroit. Well, my family's all here. My kids are all here.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not moving to North Carolina.
Right.
So I'll stay here. And that's
so you sacrificed your career for your family?
Yes.
Oh, that's a man move.
And yeah. No, not
really?
at all. Not at all. I would do it 100 times, and I did it a few times after
That's
that.
what makes it a man move. You didn't. You did it for everybody else.
And so anyway.
All right, so you go into the Air Force, and then you didn't take the thing. So, and you're 39 now. What year was that? 2000?
Well, 2000, 2001, yeah.
All right, so in 2000, 2001.
Oh, 2000, yeah. With 99, and the 99 first to 2000.
Yeah, 96 to 03, rounding down. Okay, so you're doing that. So you re-up, and then you stay in Detroit?
Yeah, I say it's Selfridge for, well, no, I was going to say, so now in the end of 2008, they do another change of, okay, your job is moving to Tampa, Florida. Your E7, we'll give you E7, move to Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
This is in 2008.
All right, hold on. Before you get 2000, there's 8 years between your sign up and that move, right?
Yes.
All right, there's got to be a couple of things that happen.
Well, you go to whatever schools, you're down to Pensacola, Florida, going to the Air Force schools and training. And until you get high-level training, you don't really deploy to any fun spots.
Was there any?
Okay, let's back up. Now I know where you're headed at. Now, I forgot about when 9/11 happened.
Well, yeah, it's in between 2000 and 2008. I was like, well, there's got to be something.
Yes. So, now 9/11 happens, and in the 2000, I was an Air National Guard, which is weekend warrior, same thing. It's like a reservist. Yeah. But you work for the state instead of the federal government.
Right.
But the federal government pays the state to do that.
Gotcha.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So and then after 9/11, then they activate us, the whole whatever got activated.
Yeah.
So we have alert airplanes, F-16s. I'm doing F-16s at this point, and we have an alert hangar.
Hold on a second before you get into the story. Were you working on them still, or were you doing radar?
Oh, no. Okay.
Both?
No, I wasn't doing radar because I got halfway through it when they sent my school down. Okay. It was like, okay, well, I'm going like, wait a minute, a radar technician.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they're going to bomb. I'm going like, the light bulb comes on over my head. I'm going like, wait a minute, that's not probably the best job to get, even to make some money, because that's the first thing they're going to take out if you act, because at this point, the war stuff is coming up. Yeah. And it's like, nah, it's not probably
good thinking.
So then I decided to do what they call a non-destructive testing, which is I do X-rays, ultrasounds, dependent of metals, and looking for cracks in
All right.
the airplane structures and landings.
All right,
blah, blah,
so
blah.
2001 happens.
So now we're activated to full time,
Right.
and Selfridge airplanes were the F-16s were part of the airplanes that chased down the airlines that were crashing into the Pentagon. We were hot on the tail of shooting the plane down.
Wow.
That was coming. Yeah, F-6. Yeah, so Selfridge Air Force Base was involved. It was the only airplanes in the air other than the terrorists. So yeah,
So they were the ones that were
we were locked and loaded, getting ready to shoot down the fourth airplane.
doing the. No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, how close was that? I mean, it had to be butt close,
Oh yeah, it was
razor close,
Schmucker's close.
Smucker's close. That's grape jelly right there,
I mean,
boys.
yeah. So I'm sure those pilots. I mean, there were people screaming and yelling and pointing and like, on the trigger, off the trigger. I mean, you always got those generals that are like, don't shoot them, and like give them because there were a lot of civilians out there. We would have killed a lot of civilians.
Yeah.
We would have shut down that airplane.
Yeah.
Before those other heroes on the airplane ended up taking it over.
Right.
And it still crashed, but I mean, it was.
But it was an active decision on our behalf
Right.
for their country,
Right.
to
So
keep
there were
everyone
some
safe.
Heroes on that plane.
Man, that had to be some intense times right there.
Right.
Man, so that happened. So after that, you still stayed at Selfridge? Did you go anywhere else, or between there and 08?
No, I stayed at Selfridge the rest of my career.
Okay.
So
So you're at Selfridge. You guys were actively involved in the jets that were deciding whether or not what they had to do. God, that is so intense. I don't.
okay, now I just forgot a year. In 2008, they we did another job change, and that's when they were going to send me to Florida, and they said no.
What was the job change?
They are the squadron, so they decommissioned the KC-135s, and they were moving them. So the government's doing all this moving around, and for monies and whatever. And they said, okay, your job and your airplanes are going to Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
I said no again, and they said, all right, that's your first right of refusal, so you're out. So you have to find either your own job or get out. And so
Wow.
I ended up going to Rock Island Arsenal in the middle of the Mississippi there between Des Moines, Iowa, and Rock Island, Illinois.
Well, how did you find that job?
There's a web, usajobs.gov.
Oh, okay.
So that's where all veterans or federal jobs are posted for.
So why not Tampa Bay? Like, what was the reason?
Because of my family here again, I didn't want to move down there, so I took this job because it was 4 hours away, and I could
Oh.
drive home on the weekends. I still had a house, and and my family was up here. I was divorced at the time, and so it was just me and the boys. And
Yeah. So before you finish this story, we're going to have to go to our break. Thank you so much for coming to Spiritual Warfare Unit. We're going to get the rest of the story on the flip side, and we will see you next time. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name.
Taking a quick break.